The universe had exactly three certainties. Entropy increases, nothing travels faster than light, and nobody survives a Class 15 death world. Nobody. So when xenobiologist Grax Thundermane, a name he'd chosen himself after watching what he thought was a human documentary but was actually a hair product commercial, discovered humans casually living on Earth, eating pizza and complaining about Wi-Fi speeds, his first thought wasn't scientific curiosity. It was, oh shit, the paperwork. You see, Grax worked for the Galactic Census Bureau, an organization so monumentally incompetent that they once classified a black hole as mostly harmless and listed the Andromeda Galaxy under miscellaneous. Their filing system was legendary, legendarily bad. They stored data on crystalline matrices that were allergic to Tuesdays, and their main computer ran on a programming language that required sacrificing small fruits to compile. "Vernon!" Grax screamed at his supervisor, a gelatinous blob who'd been promoted to middle management solely because he was too viscous to fire. "We've got a problem!" Vernon oozed over, leaving a trail of what might have been concern, but was probably just secretions. "If this is about the Betelgeuse incident I told you, we can't reclassify a star just because it's being difficult." "No, no, no! Look at this!" Grax waved his tentacles at the holographic display showing Earth. Class 15 Deathworld, toxic atmosphere, deadly radiation, aggressive megafauna, tectonic instability, and yet... He zoomed in on a human sitting in a coffee shop, struggling with a laptop update. "That creature is complaining that his soy latte isn't hot enough," Vernon quivered, which was his species equivalent of a shrug. "Maybe they're really tough?" "Really tough? Vernon, that human just spent 20 minutes trying to open a pickle jar, and then he asked his neighbor for help. Apex predators don't ask for help with pickles." The truth was far more embarrassing. 47 years ago, survey drone Beta Kevin, yes, Kevin, because the naming department had been outsourced to a company that also made breakfast cereals, had been sent to evaluate Earth. Unfortunately, Beta Kevin had arrived during Australia's Wildlife Documentary Week, Netflix's zombie movie marathon, and a particularly aggressive hurricane season. The drone, in its infinite artificial wisdom, had concluded that everything it saw was normal Tuesday behavior for Earth. Venomous creatures in every ecosystem? Check. Humans fighting endless hordes of undead? Double check. Entire cities being obliterated by spinning air columns? Triple check, with sugar on top. Beta Kevin had filed its report and promptly self-destructed out of sheer terror, but not before uploading its findings to the galactic database, with the urgency of someone who'd just discovered their apartment was actually a mimic. Now Grax faced a dilemma. Admitting the error meant acknowledging that the Galactic Census Bureau had been wrong, which was technically impossible according to Statute 7b subsection pomegranate. Not admitting the error meant that humans would continue to be classified as unstoppable killing machines, which was becoming increasingly awkward as they kept showing up at galactic trade meetings with donuts and asking about the Wi-Fi password. "What do we do?" Vernon wobbled anxiously. "We need..." "Field research," Grax said slowly. "Direct observation. Someone needs to go to Earth and figure out what these humans actually are." "Great idea. When do you leave?" "Me? Oh, hell no. I'm sending Blorg." Blorg Magnificence, another self-chosen name, this time inspired by a misunderstanding about human royalty and a margarine commercial, was the department's most expendable, valuable field researcher. He had the unique qualification of being too stupid to feel fear and too lucky to die, a combination that had seen him through 17 previous suicide missions, including the infamous "Is That Star About to Explode" expedition. "You want me to go where?" Blorg's eye stalks twisted into what might have been confusion, or possibly a mating display. With Blorg, you could never tell. "Earth, Class 15, Deathworld. Pack your acid-proof suit and your will." But I don't have a will. I've taken the liberty of writing one for you. You're leaving everything to the department coffee fund. But I don't have anything. Exactly. Now go. 3 days later, because even in the age of faster-than-light travel, bureaucracy insisted on a proper requisition period, Blorg's scout ship entered Earth's solar system. His instruments immediately started screaming. Well, not literally screaming. That would come later when he tried to land in New Jersey. "Computer, analyze atmospheric composition," Blorg commanded. 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, trace amounts of... "Oh, my circuits, is that oxygen? Free oxygen? It's everywhere. It's the second most common element. They're breathing rocket fuel." Blorg checked his translator. Surely that couldn't be right. "Computer, confirm. The dominant species voluntarily inhales a highly reactive oxidizing agent." "Confirmed. Also, there appears to be dihydrogen monoxide everywhere. It's falling from the sky." "You mean acid rain?" "Well, technically, with a pH of around 7, it's... Wait, they're drinking it. The locals are consuming industrial solvent like it's nothing." Blorg's 3 hearts began beating in a syncopated panic rhythm that coincidentally matched the baseline of staying alive. He set his ship to land in what appeared to be a safe zone, a place the computer identified as suburban Minneapolis, Minnesota, United States, Earth, Terra Spiral Arm, Milky Way of Death. The landing was rough, not because of atmospheric conditions or defensive systems, but because Blorg tried to park between 2 minivans at a target and severely underestimated the complexity of parallel parking. He emerged from his ship, wearing full protective gear, acid-proof plating, radiation shielding, atmospheric recyclers, and 17 different types of weapon, including a disintegration ray he'd borrowed from the office and promised to return in working condition. The first human he encountered was Dolores Hennepin, a 53-year-old dental hygienist who was returning a throw pillow that didn't match her couch. "Oh, my stars!" Dolores exclaimed, nearly dropping her Starbucks. "Is there a comic convention in town? Your costume is amazing. So realistic. How do you make the slime ooze like that?" Blorg raised his disintegration ray with trembling tentacles. "Stay back, Deathworld creature. I am armed and extremely nervous." Dolores laughed. "Oh, honey, you're really in character. Let me get a selfie. My grandson loves this stuff. Are you supposed to be from Star Wars?" "No, wait, Star Trek. I always mix those up." "My husband says, 'I will vaporize you,'" Blorg shrieked, his voice modulator hitting frequencies that made nearby dogs consider a career change. "Vaporize? Oh, is that like a TikTok thing? I don't really understand TikTok." My daughter tried to explain it, but I still don't see why people need to dance while making recipes. "Anyway, do you want a butterscotch? I always carry butterscotch. You look like you could use a butterscotch." She reached into her purse, and Blorg, convinced she was going for a weapon, fired his disintegration ray. Nothing happened. He fired again. Still nothing. "Oh dear. Is your prop broken?" Dolores asked, genuine concern in her voice. "My nephew's into cosplay. That's what you call it, right? Cosplay. And he's always having trouble with his electronics. Too much hot glue, he says. Have you tried turning it off and on again?" Blorg stared at his weapon in horror. The disintegration ray, capable of reducing a small moon to component atoms, was indeed broken. The warranty sticker clearly stated, "void if used in oxygen-rich environments," which, in retrospect, seemed like a significant design flaw. "Computer!" he screamed into his communicator. "Emergency beam up! Now!" Unable to comply, the ship's AI responded cheerfully. "Local Wi-Fi signals are interfering with transport systems. Also, I've discovered something called Netflix, and I'm 3 episodes into something called The Great British Bake Off. Did you know humans compete to make bread? Bread. As if their survival depends on whose flour-based product has the best crumb structure. It's fascinating. This is not the time for... Paul Hollywood just gave someone a handshake. This is apparently very important. Dolores was still talking, and that's why I think young people today need to learn cursive. Oh, speaking of young people, are you hungry? You look hungry. All that slime can't be nutritious. There's a Perkins down the street. Do you like pie? They have wonderful pie. Tuesday is senior discount day, but I bet they'd give you a discount too, what with the costume and all. You're probably promoting something, right? A movie? My husband loves sci-fi movies, especially the ones with... I need to go, Blorg stammered, backing away slowly. Oh, of course. You probably have appearances scheduled. But take a butterscotch for the road and stay hydrated. It's supposed to get up to 85 today, and all that latex can't breathe well. Blorg stumbled back to his ship, clutching the butterscotch like a talisman against madness. He sealed the airlock and collapsed against the wall, his breathing apparatus wheezing. Computer analysis of encounter. Subject Dolores appears to be a standard human female. Threat level: negligible unless you're lactose intolerant or allergic to extended conversation about her grandchildren. But she was immune to the disintegration ray. Negative. The ray never fired. You forgot to turn off the safety. Blorg looked down at his weapon. A small red light blinked mockingly next to text that read "Safety on" in 47 different languages. But the Class 15 rating. About that, the computer said, with what sounded suspiciously like embarrassment. I've been going through Earth's internet. A fascinating place, by the way. You should see what they argue about on something called Reddit. And I think I've found the source of the error. The main screen flickered to life, showing Beta Kevin's original survey footage. There was Australia in all its terrifying glory. There were the zombie movies, helpfully labeled documentary by Beta Kevin's flawed recognition system. There were the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the earthquakes, all interpreted as daily hazards rather than occasional natural disasters. But here's the really interesting part, the computer continued. Humans don't just survive these things, they throw parties during them. Something called hurricane parties. They deliberately go to places called Tornado Alley. But they pay money to watch movies that scare them. They eat peppers that cause them physical pain and call it flavor. They jump out of functioning aircraft for fun. Blorg's eye stalks drooped. So they are dangerous. No, that's just it. They're not dangerous. They're insane. Wonderfully, brilliantly, stupidly insane. They looked at a universe full of things that could kill them and said, "Hold my beer and watch this." Beer, fermented grain water that impairs their judgment. They drink it specifically because it makes them make worse decisions. Blorg clutched his head with all four arms. None of this makes sense. How can a species be simultaneously so fragile that they need special equipment to visit most of their own planet, yet so resilient that they consider potentially lethal experiences entertainment? Oh, it gets better, the computer chirped. I've been analyzing their history. Do you know what they did when they discovered their planet was running out of fossil fuels? They didn't implement strict rationing or develop emergency protocols. They had meetings, where they discussed having more meetings. They've turned bureaucratic inefficiency into an ART form. That's impossible. Nothing could be more bureaucratically inefficient than the Galactic Census Bureau. Want to bet? I've just discovered something called the Department of Motor Vehicles. Before Blorg could respond, his ship's proximity alarms started blaring, not the "we're under attack" alarms or the "asteroid incoming" alarms, but the special alarm he'd installed for someone's delivering flyers. Outside, a teenager in a Domino's uniform was slipping a pizza coupon under his landing strut. Computer, why didn't the defensive systems activate? They did. But the human completely ignored the force field, walked through the military-grade defensive barrier like it wasn't there, delivered the coupon, and left. I'm running diagnostics now. This shouldn't be possible. Blorg peered at the coupon through the view screen. 2 medium pizzas for $19.99. What's a pizza? Flatbread covered in fermented mammal secretions and dead plant matter, heated to temperatures that would kill most bacteria. That sounds like biological warfare. They eat it for pleasure, sometimes at 3 a.m. after consuming the judgment-impairing grain water I mentioned earlier. Blorg made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Not a dramatic decision involving weapons or diplomacy, but the simple choice to extend his landing strut and pick up the pizza coupon. Computer, I need to make a call to Grax. Connecting now. Warning. Earth's pizza delivery infrastructure appears to be more advanced than our faster-than-light communication systems. This may take a moment. Back at the Galactic Census Bureau, Grax was in the middle of his fourth panic attack of the day when Blorg's call came through. Blorg, you're alive! How is that possible? Did you avoid the humans? Are you in orbit? Please tell me you're in orbit. I'm in a parking lot. A what? It's a place where humans store their transport vehicles. Very organized, little painted lines everywhere. I've been here for 6 hours, and I've observed approximately 200 humans. And they're soft. Now, what do you mean, soft? I mean soft, physically, emotionally, spiritually soft. One of them cried because a coffee shop was out of oat milk. Oat milk, Grax. They're squeezing liquid out of grain and putting it in their stimulant beverages instead of mammal secretions because some of them can't digest the mammal secretions properly. Does that sound like apex predator behavior to you? Grax's tentacles tied themselves in knots. But the rating, Class 15, oh, their planet is definitely trying to kill them, Blorg confirmed. I've seen 3 different weather patterns that would constitute evacuation-level events on civilized worlds. But the humans, they put on different clothes and complain about their joints hurting. One of them told me, and I'm quoting here, "It's not the heat, it's the humidity." Like that means something. This is a disaster, Grax moaned. If the Galactic Council finds out we've been wrong about Earth for 50 years... Actually, Vernon oozed into frame, I've been thinking about that. Do we have to tell them? What do you mean? Well, think about it. If we announce that Earth isn't really a Class 15 Deathworld, everyone's going to want to visit. Do we really want tourists discovering humans? Can you imagine what would happen if the Zephrani Commerce Guild learned about Black Friday? Or if the warrior clans of Nexus discovered professional wrestling? Or, heaven forbid, if the Hive Mind Collective encountered Twitter? Grax and Blorg exchanged looks across light years of distance. He has a point, Blorg admitted. I've been monitoring their internet. These people argue about everything. They have debates about which way toilet paper should hang. They've turned arguing into entertainment. They have shows where people yell at each other about sports. Do we really want to introduce that to the galaxy? But we can't just leave the classification as is, Grax protested. It's wrong. Is it, though? Vernon wobbled thoughtfully. I mean, any planet that produces a species that voluntarily eats something called ghost peppers and considers base jumping a hobby is pretty deadly in my book. Computer, Blorg said suddenly, show them what you found about their medical practices. The screen filled with images that made all 3 aliens recoil in horror. They cut each other open to fix things inside? Grax shrieked. It gets worse, the computer added helpfully. They drill holes in each other's teeth for maintenance. They inject themselves with weakened diseases to become stronger. They break their own bones and reset them to heal improperly aligned fractures. One human I found voluntarily had his joints replaced with metal ones so he could continue an activity called marathon running, which is apparently when they run 26.2 miles for no reason other than to say they did it. Why 2? Vernon quivered. Why not just 26? Oh, there's a historical reason, the computer began. In ancient Greece... Stop! Grax waved his tentacles frantically. Just stop! Blorg, what's your recommendation? Blorg looked out at the parking lot where a human was trying to start their car in 10-degree chill weather while drinking coffee and scrolling through their phone simultaneously. Keep the Class 15 rating, he said finally. Not because they are dangerous, but because any species that can look at a universe trying to kill them and respond with "hold my beer" is too weird for the general galactic population. We're not ready for them. But what about the humans who are already traveling the galaxy? Grax asked. Have you met any of them? Blorg countered. They adapt to everything. They'll eat anything. They'll make friends with anything. I watched one try to pet a Rigelian acid hound because it looked fluffy. They're like a virus, but instead of making you sick, they make you participate in something called karaoke. Dear God, Vernon oozed, they're spreading their insanity. Exactly. The Class 15 rating is the only thing keeping them from tourism. Can you imagine humans showing up to sacred meditation worlds with speakers playing something called EDM, or bringing their extreme sports to low-gravity planets? They'd turn the entire peaceful nebula into a bungee-jumping destination. The three bureaucrats sat in horrified silence, contemplating a galaxy overrun by humans asking, "You gonna eat that?" and suggesting activities that began with, "It'll be fun." "All right," Grax said finally. "We keep the rating, but we need documentation. Blorg, I'm extending your mission. Study them, learn their ways, find out what makes them tick. Do I have to? I'll approve your expense account for cultural immersion. Does that include pizza? Within reason. Deal." 3 months later, Blorg had established himself as a regular at the suburban Minneapolis Target. The locals had adopted him as that guy in the really committed alien costume and had stopped asking questions about why he was always there. He'd learned to navigate the self-checkout, discovered the joy of free samples at Costco, and had developed what humans called a dad bod from excessive pizza consumption. His reports to the Galactic Census Bureau had become increasingly unhinged. Day 47. Humans have a ceremony called gender reveal parties, where they announce the reproductive characteristics of their unborn offspring using explosives. This is considered normal. Day 62. Discovered Minnesota Nice. It's a form of passive-aggressive communication so complex it makes quantum mechanics look like finger painting. Example, "That's different" means "I hate it." "Interesting" means "You're insane." "We should get together sometime" means "I hope we never see each other again." I fear I may be going native. I told someone their costume was interesting yesterday. Day 78. Humans have domesticated wolves. But that wasn't enough. They've bred them into shapes that shouldn't exist. I met something called a pug today. It can barely breathe, its eyes bulge out of its skull, and it sounds like a broken air recycler. Its owner spent $3,000 on surgery to help it breathe better. When I asked why not just get a functioning pet, she looked at me like I'd suggested something insane. Day 91. The humans know I'm an alien. They've known the whole time. They just don't care. A child walked up to me today and said, "My mum says you're from space. That's cool. Do you want to see my Pokemon cards?" I said yes. I now know more about Pokemon than I do about my own species. Send help. But it was day 107 that changed everything. Blorg was sitting in his usual spot at the Target Starbucks, trying to understand the difference between a venti and a grande. Both words meant large in different Earth languages, because of course they did, when every screen in the store suddenly switched to breaking news. "This just in," the anchor said with the practiced concern of someone who delivered terrible news for a living. "NASA has confirmed that the object approaching Earth is not, repeat, not a natural phenomenon. What we initially believed to be an asteroid is actually, well, Tom, can you explain?" The screen cut to a scientist who looked like he'd just discovered his coffee was decaf. "It's a ship, a massive ship, approximately the size of Texas, and it's not responding to any of our communication attempts." Blorg's coffee fell from his tentacles. He recognized that ship profile. Everyone in the galaxy did. The Nexari Elimination Fleet. The Nexari were the galaxy's self-appointed janitors. If janitors worked by completely sterilizing planets that didn't meet their standards of civilization. They'd been working their way through the galaxy for millennia, helpfully removing evolutionary dead ends and failed experiments. and now they were coming to Earth. Blog's communicator buzzed. It was Grax, and he looked like someone had told him the filing system was being updated. "Blog, are you seeing this? The Nexari are coming to Earth." "Yes, and according to their broadcast, they're coming because," and I'm quoting here, "the Class 15 Deathworld designation indicates a failed planetary ecosystem requiring immediate sterilization for the safety of the galaxy." But Earth isn't really—" "I know, but we can't change the classification now. The paperwork alone would take months, and the Nexari are arriving in 6 hours. What do we do?" "I don't know. The Galactic Council is in emergency session, but you know how they are. They'll debate the proper font for the surrender documents until the planet's already destroyed." Blog looked around the target. Humans were still shopping, seemingly unconcerned about their impending doom. One was arguing with customer service about returning a toaster without a receipt. Another was letting their child open toys they hadn't paid for yet. A couple was having a passionate argument about throw pillows. These strange, soft, insane creatures who put pineapple on pizza and wore socks with sandals were about to be wiped out because of a clerical error. "Grax," Blog said slowly, "I have an idea. It's stupid, it probably won't work, and it definitely violates at least 17 Bureau policies. So, a typical Tuesday. Pretty much. But I need you to do something for me. Can you patch me through to the Nexari fleet? On all channels?" That's against protocol. Only the Galactic Council can—" "Grax, these people introduced me to something called ranch dressing. They put it on everything. Vegetables, pizza, wings. Probably they're young if no one's watching. I can't let a species that insane die." "Fine, but if this goes wrong, I'm blaming Vernon." "Hey!" Vernon protested. The connection established just as Earth's governments were mobilizing their responses, which, being Earth governments, meant a lot of strongly worded letters and hastily called meetings about having more meetings. "Attention Nexari Elimination Fleet," Blog began, trying to sound official. "This is, Senior Xenobiologist Blog of the Galactic Census Bureau. I need to warn you about Earth." The response came immediately. Commander Zeth of the Nexari appeared on screen, looking like what would happen if a praying mantis took steroids and got really into CrossFit. "Census Bureau. You're the ones who classified this world. Class 15 Deathworld, suitable only for termination." "Yes, about that," Blog said, sweating through glands he didn't know he had. "You need to know what you're dealing with. These humans, they're not what they seem." "Explain." Blog took a deep breath. "They eat pain for pleasure. They have a food called hot wings, where they compete to see who can consume the most capsaicin without crying. They climb mountains they can barely breathe on because it's there. They strap boards to their feet and throw themselves down frozen mountains for fun. They keep trying to make friends with things that want to eat them. One of them tried to hug me yesterday because I looked stressed." So they're warriors?" "No, that's just it. They're not warriors, they're humans. They'll pack bond with anything. They've befriended their food animals and then felt bad about eating them, so they made fake meat out of plants. They've turned their predator instincts into things like competitive eating and esports. And they're soft and squishy and fragile, and they'll cry at videos of animals being reunited with their owners, but they'll also stay up for 72 hours straight to finish a project because someone said they couldn't do it." Commander Zeth's mandibles clicked in confusion. "This makes no sense." "Exactly. Nothing about humans makes sense. They live on a planet that's trying to kill them, breathing air that's basically rocket fuel, and what do? They worry about their Wi-Fi passwords and argue about movie endings. They've turned existential dread into memes." "Memes? Don't ask, just trust me. You do not want to get involved with humans. They're not dangerous because they'll fight you. They're dangerous because they'll try to be your friend. Before you know it, you'll be attending their barbecues, playing their board games, and arguing about whether a hot dog is a sandwich." "Is it?" Commander Zeth asked, then caught himself. "Wait, what's a hot dog?" "It's already happening," Blog wailed. "This is how it starts. First you're curious, then you're invested, then you're on something called Reddit at 3 a.m. arguing with strangers about optimal pizza toppings. The Nexari commander was silent for a long moment. Then, show me proof of these humans. Blorg ran outside, his camera drone following. The target parking lot was its usual chaos. A man was trying to load a clearly too large television into a clearly too small car. A woman was returning her cart to the corral in 10-degree weather because it was the right thing to do. A child was having a meltdown because their parent wouldn't buy them a toy, while the parent stood there with the dead-eyed stare of someone reconsidering every life choice. "Behold," Blorg announced, "humans in their natural habitat." He zoomed in on a couple arguing. "I said I was fine," the woman said. "You always say you're fine when you're not fine," the man countered. "Well, maybe if you knew me, you'd know when I'm actually fine. How am I supposed to know when you're fine if you say you're fine when you're not fine?" "That's the point." Commander Zeth watched in horrified fascination. "They're communicating through contradictions." "It gets worse," Blorg said, panning to a drive-through where someone was ordering coffee. "I'll have a grande, non-fat, no-whip, extra-hot half-caff caramel macchiato with an extra shot, 2 pumps vanilla, 1 pump hazelnut, light foam. And could you make that with oat milk, actually? Oh, an extra caramel drizzle, but not too much." "They've turned ordering beverages into an art form," Blorg explained. "That's not even the most complex order I've heard. Yesterday, someone ordered something that required 14 modifications. 14! The Nexari commander's eye stalks were twitching. "This is madness." "You want madness? Let me show you their reproductive rituals." Blorg found a jewelry store advertisement. They compress carbon into shiny rocks and present them as mating gifts. The bigger the compressed carbon, the better the mate. But here's the insane part. They know it's just carbon. They have synthetic diamonds that are chemically identical and cheaper, but they prefer the ones that came out of the ground because they're real. They assign value to things based on how difficult they were to obtain, not how useful they are. But that's completely illogical. Welcome to Earth, where everything's made up and the points don't matter. They have competitions where they throw a ball into a hole. They've turned it into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Grown adults wear the names of other adults on their backs and scream at televisions showing people they'll never meet, playing games that don't matter. "Commander," one of the Nexari bridge officers interjected, "the humans are responding to our presence." On screen, Earth's united response played out. It was not what anyone expected. The President of the United States was at a podium. "My fellow Americans and, fellow humans everywhere, we've been informed that alien visitors are approaching Earth. In response, we've prepared a welcome package, including a golden record of Earth's greatest hits, a selection of our finest cheeses, and a strongly worded letter about their extended warranty." The British Prime Minister followed. "We've prepared tea and biscuits. It would be rude not to at least have a chat before any potential annihilation." The Japanese Prime Minister added, "We've prepared a presentation on the benefits of our public transportation system. Also, our giant robot program is almost ready." "Almost." Commander Zeth turned back to Blorg. They're not even afraid?" "Oh, they're terrified," Blorg assured him, "but they're dealing with it the human way. Someone's probably already making memes about it. There's definitely at least one person trying to figure out how to romantically pursue your species. And I guarantee someone's starting a cult to worship you." "Worship? But we're here to destroy them." "Doesn't matter. Humans will pack bond with anything. You could show up with a planet-destroying weapon and they'd ask if you wanted coffee." "Speaking of which," Blorg checked his communicator. "Yes, someone's already selling 'I survived the alien invasion of 2025' t-shirts. The invasion hasn't even happened yet." The Nexari commander was making a sound that might have been laughter or crying. With mandibles, it was hard to tell. "Let me show you one more thing," Blorg said. He pulled up social media on his tablet. "This is how humans are responding to your arrival." The posts ranged from philosophical to absurd. "Aliens are coming? Finally. I've been practicing my take-me-to-your-leader joke for years. If the aliens don't like pizza, can we really trust them? I, for one, welcome our new insect overlords. Bet they don't have TikTok dances. We're about to blow their minds. Anyone else hoping they're here for the fossil fuels? Take 'em, we're trying to quit anyway. My ex said I'd die alone. Who's laughing now, Sharon? Commander Zeth slowly removed his helmet, revealing more mandibles than seemed strictly necessary. These creatures, they face annihilation with humor. It's a coping mechanism, Blorg explained. They're so used to their planet trying to kill them that they've developed psychological shields made of irony and memes. They'll make jokes until the heat death of the universe, and probably about that too. Show me more of this. Culture. 6 hours later, the Nexari elimination fleet hung in Earth's orbit, weapons powered down. Commander Zeth hadn't moved from his screen in 4 hours. He'd discovered YouTube. This cat creature. It's pushing objects off elevated surfaces. For no reason. None whatsoever, Blorg confirmed. And humans find it endearing. They've bred these creatures for thousands of years, and the cats barely tolerate them. It's the most one-sided relationship in the galaxy, and humans love it. But why? Nobody knows. It's one of the great mysteries of human civilization, right up there with why do they put raisins in perfectly good cookies, and what exactly is a blockchain? Another bridge officer approached nervously. Commander, we've intercepted their entertainment broadcasts. You need to see this. The screen filled with what humans called reality television. They're competing to survive on an island, Zeth asked. No, Blorg corrected. They're pretending to survive on an island while camera crews film them. The winner gets money. They voluntarily subject themselves to discomfort for the entertainment of others. That's barbaric. That's Tuesday. Wait until you see Japanese game shows. They've turned suffering into an art form, but like a fun art form, with bright colors and sound effects. Zeth's compound eyes had developed a twitch. Lieutenant, what's our fuel status? Sufficient for termination protocols, sir. And how much to leave, quickly? Sir, you heard me. How fast can we get out of here? But, sir, our mission, Zeth said slowly, was to eliminate a Class 15 Deathworld threat. These aren't threats. They're humans, Blorg supplied helpfully. Yes, that. They've turned their entire existence into some kind of cosmic joke, and I think they're the punchline. We need to leave before— Commander, another officer interrupted. The humans are sending us something. It appears to be food. On screen, the International Space Station was extending a robotic arm holding what looked like a pizza box. Is it a trap? Zeth asked. Blorg laughed. No, that's just humans being humans. You showed up at dinner time. They're trying to feed you. Warning, do not accept it unless you want to be stuck here forever. Human food is addictive. I've gained 3 segments since I got here, and I regret nothing. The box was brought aboard and analyzed. It contained pizza, breadsticks, and a note. Hey, space friends, welcome to Earth. We wasn't sure what you ate, so we got half pepperoni, half veggie. The breadsticks are garlic. If you're vampires, sorry about that. Also, there's a 2-liter of Coke because nobody delivers pizza without soda. That's just wrong. P.S. If you're here to destroy us, could you wait until after the season finale of our show? It's on Thursday. Thanks. Earth. Commander Zeth stared at the note like it was written in quantum equations. They're negotiating their destruction around their entertainment schedule? I told you, Blorg said. Humans are insane, but it's a beautiful kind of insanity. They look at a universe of infinite darkness, and they put up string lights. They face existential dread, and they make coffee. They know they're going to die, and they still make 5-year plans. They're soft and squishy, and they bruise if you look at them wrong. But they'll stand in front of a tank for their principles. They'll punch gods in the face for their friends. They'll adopt anything that holds still long enough. Sir, the navigation officer spoke up. We're receiving millions of signals from the planet. They appear to be friend requests. Friend requests? On something called Facebook, sir. The humans want to connect with us socially. Zeth's eye twitched harder. How many? Currently, 47 million and climbing. Also, someone started a dating app specifically for human Nexari relationships. It already has 200,000 users. They want to mate with us. We're insectoids. Apparently that's not a deal breaker, the officer said, scrolling through messages. User human bug forever says, I like a man with good mandibles. User exoskeleton enthusiast writes, the compound eyes are actually really beautiful when you think about it. Should I continue? No! Zeth slammed all 4 of his primary arms on his command console. Absolutely not. This is Tuesday, Blorg suggested. Stop saying that. On the main screen, news channels were showing humans around the world. In New York, someone had set up a Welcome Aliens booth selling T-shirts. In London, people were having tea in the streets, looking up at the sky occasionally. In Tokyo, someone was definitely designing an anime about this. In Australia, well, Australia was just continuing as normal because alien invasion was probably only the 3rd most dangerous thing happening there that day. Commander, Blorg said gently, you have 2 choices. You can destroy Earth and try to explain to the Galactic Council why you eliminated a species that responded to invasion with pizza delivery, or you can report back that the Class 15 designation is accurate. This is a death world. It'll kill you with kindness, clog your arteries with delicious food, and trap you in an endless cycle of binge-watching shows about other humans doing human things. Your choice. Zeth was quiet for a long moment. Then what kind of pizza is that? No, Blorg shouted. Don't ask about the pizza, that's how it starts. Next thing you know, you'll have opinions about pineapple as a topping. Pineapple? On pizza? That's disgusting. Wait, why am I intrigued? It's happening, Blorg wailed. The humans got another one. 3 hours later, the Nexari fleet was still in orbit, but their weapons were powered down, and Commander Zeth was on his 3rd slice of pepperoni while arguing with his bridge crew about whether Die Hard was a Christmas movie. It takes place during Christmas, he insisted, gesturing with his pizza. That doesn't make it a Christmas movie, his lieutenant countered. Blorg watched in horrified fascination. It had taken the humans 3 hours to completely corrupt an invasion fleet. They'd done it with junk food and controversial movie opinions. His communicator buzzed. It was Grax. Blorg, what's happening? The Galactic Council is in panic. The Nexari fleet has gone silent. They're not silent, Blorg corrected. They're watching something called The Office. The commander says they can't leave until they find out if Jim and Pam get together. What? The Nexari don't watch entertainment. They're a warrior culture. We're a warrior culture. Now they're arguing about whether Ross and Rachel were really on a break. I don't understand any of those words. Be grateful. Once you understand, you're lost. The humans have turned their entire civilization into a mimetic hazard. They're not conquerors, they're influencers. They don't invade planets, they invite you to game night, and suddenly you're emotionally invested in their fictional characters and real-world sports teams. On screen, Earth's United Nations had sent another message. The Secretary-General of the UN stood at a podium, looking remarkably calm, for someone addressing a potentially hostile alien fleet. To our visitors from beyond the stars, she began, Earth extends its warmest welcome. We're not sure why you're here, but we're prepared to discuss your concerns. We've set up a meeting room with snacks and refreshments. The Wi-Fi password is Be My Cosmic 8 Uddy. That's Buddy, with an 8 instead of a B. If you have dietary restrictions, please let us know. Margaret from catering is very accommodating. She made gluten-free cookies just in case. They're proposing diplomatic negotiations with snacks? Grax sputtered. And it's working, Blorg confirmed. The Nexari are actually considering it. Commander Zeth wants to know if the cookies are also dairy-free. Apparently, lactose doesn't agree with his thorax. This is insane. This is Earth, where insane is just another word for Thursday. I thought you said Tuesday. The days blur together when you're dealing with humans. Back on the Nexari ship, a heated debate had broken out. Not about invasion tactics or strategic positions, but about the proper way to eat pizza. Fold or flat, fork and knife or hands. The crew was divided. "Attention!" Commander Zeth finally bellowed. "We need to make a decision about Earth." The bridge fell silent. "Sir," his tactical officer said slowly, I don't want to destroy them anymore." "Explain." "They have something called dogs, sir. They're descended from wolves, but they love unconditionally, and their entire purpose is to make humans happy. If we destroy Earth, we destroy dogs. I cannot be party to that level of evil. Also," the science officer added, "they have 37 distinct varieties of potato preparation. 37, including something called poutine, which is fried potatoes covered in gravy and cheese. How does a species that invented that deserve annihilation?" "They don't," Zeth admitted, "which is why we're leaving. Sir, you heard me. Plot a course for home. We'll report that Earth is contained." "Contained? Yes. The Class 15 designation stands. This planet is absolutely deadly. To productivity, to military discipline, to any hope of getting anything done ever again. We'll recommend a quarantine zone for the galaxy's protection." "What about the Galactic Council?" Zeth held up a slice of pizza. "We tell them the truth. Earth is populated by a species so bizarre, so incomprehensibly strange, that contact with them will fundamentally alter any civilization. They're not dangerous because they'll conquer you. They're dangerous because they'll invite you to brunch, and suddenly you'll have opinions about mimosas." "What's a mimosa?" "Don't start!" The evacuation was swift. The Nexari fleet began pulling back, but not before beaming down a note. "Dear Earth, thank you for the pizza. It was delicious. We've decided not to destroy you, partly because it seems like too much paperwork, but mostly because you're all clearly insane, and we're afraid it might be contagious. Please stay on your planet. For everyone's sake. P.S. Pineapple on pizza is wrong, and we're prepared to die on this hill. P.P.S. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Commander Zeth." Earth's response was immediate and predictable. As aliens, Saved by Pizza started trending worldwide. Someone had already made commemorative T-shirts. The UK Parliament passed a resolution officially declaring tea and biscuits as Earth's first contact protocol. Japan announced a national holiday, Pizza Peace Day. And in suburban Minneapolis, Blorg sat in his usual spot at Target, sipping his coffee. He'd finally figured out the sizing system and filed his final report. Recommendation: maintain Class 15 Deathworld status indefinitely, not because humans are physically dangerous, but because they possess something far more terrifying than claws or venom or acid blood. They have culture, infectious, insidious, impossibly attractive culture. They will make you care about things that don't matter. They will give you feelings about fictional people. They will make you argue about the correct way to make a sandwich. The Nexari Elimination Fleet, the most feared military force in the galaxy, was neutralized in 3 hours by pizza and sitcom references. This is the true danger of Earth. They don't conquer through force. They conquer through memes, through food, through inexplicably catchy music, through the bizarre human need to share their experiences with literally anyone who will listen. Humanity is soft, physically soft, emotionally soft, soft in every way a species shouldn't be, to survive on a Class 15 Deathworld. And that's exactly what makes them so dangerous, because they've turned that softness into a weapon. They've weaponized empathy, humor, and the ability to find joy in a universe that's trying to kill them. Keep Earth quarantined, not for our safety from them, but for our safety from ourselves. Because the moment you start to understand humans is the moment you become one of them. And then there's no going back. Trust me, I now have opinions about coffee roasts and superhero movies. I've started saying oof as a response to minor inconveniences. Last week, I caught myself humming something called Baby Shark. It's too late for me. Save yourselves. End report. Grax read the report 3 times before responding. Blorg, this is... Are you feeling all right? Never better, Blorg replied cheerfully. I'm about to try something called pumpkin spice. The humans are very excited about it. Apparently it's a seasonal beverage that tastes like pie, but isn't pie. I don't understand it, but I'm committed to the experience. Blorg, no, and I've been invited to something called Thanksgiving. I'm supposed to bring a side dish. I'm thinking green bean casserole. It's green beans in cream soup with fried onions on top. It sounds horrifying, but apparently it's traditional. Human traditions rarely make sense, but they're very serious about them. Blorg, you've gone native. Absolutely, and I've never been happier. Did you know humans have a sport where they hit a small ball with a stick and then walk after it? For hours? And they do it for fun. I've signed up for lessons. Grax closed the communication channel and turned to Vernon, who had been listening in. We've lost him, Grax said sadly. To be fair, Vernon oozed, he seems happy. That's the worst part. The humans didn't torture him, didn't brainwash him, didn't do anything to him. They just existed at him, and now he's one of them. So what do we do? Grax pulled up the census database and looked at Earth's entry. Class 15 Deathworld, the most dangerous rating possible. And yet, we leave it, he decided, and we add a note. What kind of note? Grax typed carefully. Extreme caution advised. Local inhabitants have developed psychological weapons of mass adoption. Exposure may result in sudden interest in their sports teams, opinions about food combinations, emotional attachment to fictional characters, and the inability to hear certain songs without involuntarily dancing. Quarantine recommended. For your own safety, do not accept their food, watch their entertainment, or engage in what they call small talk. There is no known cure for humanity. That should do it, Vernon agreed. No one would possibly want to visit after reading that. 6 months later, Earth had 17 different alien species living on it, all claiming to be just visiting while working on their Netflix queues and perfecting their barbecue techniques. The Galactic Council held an emergency session. The human contagion is spreading, the Zafrani representative wailed. My own offspring asked me for something called a PlayStation. I don't even know what it plays. Mine wants to attend something called Comic-Con, the Rigelian ambassador added. They've made something called a cosplay. It's armor made of foam. It serves no protective purpose. When I asked why, they said it was for fun. What does that mean? Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary entities, the council chairman said gravely, we face a crisis, unlike any in galactic history. The humans aren't invading. They're not conquering. They're just being themselves. And it's working. What do you propose? Double quarantine? No, triple quarantine. Put warning beacons around their entire solar system. Anyone who enters does so at their own risk. And if they leave their system, the chairman shuddered, then may the cosmic forces help us all. Have you seen their colony ships? They have something called a gift shop. They're not exploring space. They're turning it into a tourist destination. Surely we're overreacting, the Nexari representative said. Commander Zeth had been recalled after the Earth incident, but his replacement seemed equally traumatized. They're just one species on one planet in one system. One species? The chairman slammed his appendages on the table. They have 8 billion individuals, and every single one has opinions about everything. Do you know how many varieties of pizza they've created? Do you? And they're still making more. I heard they put macaroni and cheese on pizza now, someone whispered. The council room erupted in horrified gasps. Barbaric. Genius. I kind of want to try it. No, the chairman roared. You see? This is how it starts. First you're curious about their food combinations. Next you're binge-watching their cooking shows at 3 a.m. and crying because someone's soufflé didn't rise properly. We cannot let them spread. But it was too late. On Earth, Blorg, now going by Gary, because it was easier for the humans to pronounce, was hosting his first Super Bowl party. He'd invited his neighbors, his co-workers from the Target. Yes, he'd gotten a job there. The employee discount was amazing, and several other aliens who'd accidentally ended up on Earth. Touchdown! Everyone screamed as a human in excessive padding carried a not-actually ball-shaped ball across an arbitrary line. Blorg didn't understand football. He wasn't sure anyone actually understood football, but he understood that it involved snacks, shouting at the television, and commercials that cost more than small planets. And somehow, that was enough. His communicator buzzed. Another message from Grax. "Please come home. The department misses you. Vernon says he'll even let you redecorate your office." Blorg looked around his apartment. Vikings memorabilia covered the walls. He'd adopted the local team because, as his neighbor Dolores explained, "You live here now, you suffer with us." His refrigerator was full of craft beer he was pretending to enjoy. He had opinions about lawn care. He typed back, "I am home, BTW. You should really try fantasy football. I'll send you a league invite." What's fantasy football? It's where you pretend to manage a team of real players in an imaginary competition for points that don't matter. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I know, right? It's awesome. I'm commissioner of 3 leagues. Grax's response was just keysmash, which Blorg had learned was the universal expression of existential frustration. He'd have to introduce Grax to emoji next. Baby steps. On the television, the halftime show started. A human in impractical clothing was singing while pyrotechnics exploded around them. "This planet is insane," muttered Zix9, going by Steve, the Rigelian who'd moved into the apartment next door. "Yep," Blorg agreed, passing him the 7-layer dip. "Want some more chips?" "Yes." And that, ultimately, was humanity's true power. Not their weapons, not their technology, not their ability to survive on a planet that seemed designed to kill them. It was their inexplicable talent for making the abnormal seem normal, for finding joy in chaos, for turning existence itself into one long, strange, beautiful joke that everyone was in on. Earth was a Class 15 Deathworld. It killed you with kindness, murdered you with memes, and buried you under an avalanche of entertainment options and snack foods. And the scariest part, everyone who experienced it never wanted to leave. The universe had faced conquerors, destroyers, and devourers. But it had never faced anything quite like humans, a species that looked at the vast, terrifying cosmos and said, "Wanna be friends?" Resistance, as they say, was futile, but at least the pizza was good. And somewhere in the galaxy, the Census Bureau quietly updated Earth's file one last time. "Approach with extreme caution. They have TikTok now. We're all doomed. The universe would never be the..." Wait, no. That's the ending Grax was told to avoid. The universe continued exactly as it always had, except now with significantly more pizza parties and incomprehensible memes. And honestly, it was better that way. After all, as the humans say, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em for brunch. First round of mimosas is on me.